Rurik looked at that vial for a long time before he said anything at all, turning it slow between two fingers the way a man handles something he already suspects is going to cost him.
This the first time?
He asked, and I told him yes, 11 years of clean work and never once a stranger's voice bleeding through where it shouldn't be. He set the bottle down on the courtyard wall between us, careful, like it might still be listening.
It won't be the last.
He said, that's the part you should be bracing for. I asked him how he could possibly know that, and he gave me a look I'd come to recognize over the following weeks as his particular way of deciding, in real time, how much truth a person had earned. That day, standing in Isabel's courtyard with amber still drying on my hands, I hadn't earned much yet.
Educated guess,
He said, and left it there. Isabel's household doesn't stop for strange bottles, unfortunately, and that same night she was hosting a delegation from the harbor guilds, the kind of gala where half the room is negotiating trade tariffs and the other half is drinking enough courage, draw, to survive the negotiating. Had been commissioned to deliver 6 vials personally, a courage blend for the harbor master ahead of a vote he expected to lose, and 5 smaller joy draws for the toasting, which meant trading my distillery apron for the green silk wrap dress I keep for exactly these occasions, the one with a neckline low enough that Isabel once told me, not unkindly, that I dress like a woman who knows precisely what she's selling and isn't ashamed of it. She's not wrong. I'd never seen the harm in looking like exactly what I am. The Pharaoh ballroom that night was strung floor to ceiling with floating oil lanterns, dozens of them drifting free just under the vaulted ceiling on charms too old for anyone present to remember the maker of. So the whole room swam in amber light that moved every time a door opened somewhere below. Harbor Guild delegates in indigo and copper mixed with Isabel's silver and pearl set, and every few minutes a fresh joy draw got passed hand to hand, and the whole room's laughter would climb half a register at once, bright and synchronized in a way that always makes my skin prickle a little, no matter how many of these evenings I've worked. It is a strange thing, standing in a room and knowing exactly which parts of its warmth are chemistry and which parts are honest. I have never entirely decided whether that knowledge is a gift or a wound. Ulrich worked the perimeter of that gala, the way he'd worked the distillery doorway that morning, barely moving, missing nothing, and I found myself tracking him across the room with an attention I hadn't given anyone in years, watching the careful, economical way he moved through a crowd twice his size, like he was accounting for every possible angle of trouble before it arrived. Caught me watching, once, just once, and didn't look away first. Something about that felt more dangerous than anything in the vial back in my workroom. I delivered the harbor master's courage, draw myself into his hand, watching the particular flush come up his neck as it took a good clean draw, no wrongness in it at all, and I let myself feel the small, honest pride of that, because I'd been half-braced all evening for the cold thread to come back. It didn't. Not in his glass. That should have reassured me more than it did. I found Rurik near the terrace door some time past midnight, when the toasting had thinned into quieter, drunker conversation, and nobody much needed watching any more. You're good at that, I told him, meaning the room, the careful accounting of every door, being invisible while taking up that much space. He almost smiled, which I was starting to understand was rarer from him than most people's laughter. Nah!
Spent 4 years learning to be the last thing anyone in a crowded room notices,
He said. Habits hard to unlearn. What? I asked, gently. What kind of work teaches a man that particular habit? And watched something close behind his eyes, quick and practiced, a door shutting before I'd even seen what was on the other side of it.
Long story.
He said.
Not tonight. Not tonight!
I let it go. I understood better than most what it costs to be pushed toward a story before you're ready to hand it over. Standing that close to him on the terrace, the night air doing nothing to cut it, I caught that same faint, stale, sweet edge again. Old bottled courage worn into a body the way scent works into old leather, permanent, load-bearing. My whole craft is built on reading what people carry without being told, and I could not stop myself reading him, layer under layer, wood smoke, gun oil, and under all of it, older than either, courage rations dosed into a much younger man than the one standing in front of me now. I didn't say anything, but he saw me place it, saw the exact moment my face did whatever it did, and for the first time all night, he looked away first. Isabel found me before I left the gala that night, tucked her arm through mine with the particular proprietary warmth she uses when she wants something, read as friendship, and asked lightly whether her new guard was giving me any trouble. I told her no trouble at all, and she studied my face a beat longer than the answer warranted, the way she studies a ledger line that doesn't quite add up. "Led," she said, "I made him focus on the household, not distracted." I understood, even that early, that she meant it as a genuine caution rather than a threat. She has always looked out for House Vane in her own self-interested way, but I felt the shape of the warning all the same, small and cold under all that lantern light, and I did not forget it. It was 3 days before the wrongness came back. This time in a bottle I hadn't even made. A joy draw purchased off a lower market stall by one of Isabel's kitchen girls as a gift for her mother's birthday, cheap and unlicensed the way most stall-bought perfume is. She brought it to me in tears because it had made her mother weep instead of laugh, a cold, hollow weeping with no bottom to it, and asked, half ashamed, whether I could tell her what had gone wrong. I uncorked it in my workroom and felt immediately, unmistakably, the same second voice I'd caught bleeding through the merchant wife's desire vial, except this time there was more of it, layered thick under a thin, dishonest coating of manufactured joy, like a forger had painted a bright lie directly over something stolen and left raw underneath. I know my own family's work the way I know my own hands, and buried under that cheap stall-bought joy draw, unmistakably, impossibly, was a thread of House Vane craftsmanship, my craftsmanship, or close enough to it that only another Vane would ever catch the difference. Something of mine, or something very close to mine, sold 2 rungs down the market from where it should have ever been able to reach, cut and stretched and painted over to hide what it actually was. I found Rurik at the gate again that evening, the way I seemed to keep finding him, and set the little cheap bottle down between us the way he'd set the first one down between us 3 days before. "It's mine," told him, or something wearing my work like a coat. I don't know how, and I don't know who, but somebody is putting House Vane's craft into bottles I never filled. He went very still, the particular stillness of a man hearing a piece slot into a puzzle he'd been carrying around in pieces for a long time already.
There's a name for where bottles like that come from,
He said finally. People down at the harbor call it the Hollow Market. I've been trying to find my way into it for 2 years. I asked him why a household guard would spend 2 years chasing a black market in bottled feeling, and he looked at me for a long moment, weighing something before he answered.
because it's the reason half my company came home from the war unable to feel much of anything at all.
He said,
And because I think you just handed me the first real threat I've had since I started looking.
Part 3, tomorrow.